my name is Rutwik. In this video, we are going to look at 12 important rules for comprehension that you need to follow to crack the UPSC CSAT comprehension problem. We all know that comprehension has become very difficult nowadays. Questions are being asked in a very complicated manner and passages are also becoming complex. So that's why we need these 12 rules, need to understand them and apply them when we are solving these questions. And guys, last 3 rules are very important, so make sure that you watch this video till the end. So let's start looking at these one by one. First rule is to read the passage first. Everyone has that confusion, should we read the question first and then go to the passage? That is fine when the questions were used to be very simple, directly asking from the passage, but nowadays we have different complex types of questions. That's why reading the passage first is always going to be better. And trust me, if you follow this practice, you will increase your attempts by at least 5 questions. Okay. Second rule is don't rush in the reading of the passage. If people are generally scared that they don't have enough attempts in CSAT, so they try to read it very quickly. Don't do that. Read it very calmly and read it only once. And that's the major point. If you rush the passage reading, you will notice that you are reading the passage again and again to really understand it. That's why it's better to not rush the reading. Read it once and read it properly. Then we have this third point. Understand that passage is an author telling you something. हमारे लाइफ में हमेशा से ऐसा होता है कि यार लोग समझते ही नहीं है क्या बोल रहे हैं, वाले नहीं समझते, भाई बहन नहीं समझते, फ्रेंड्स नहीं समझते, कम्युनिकेशन ही नहीं हो पा रहा है सही से. फाइनली ऐसा एक टाइम आता है हमारे लाइफ में जब कोई तो ऐसा एक मिल जाता है जिससे हम सही से कम्युनिकेट कर पा रहे हैं, लेकिन वो भी 3, 4, 5 महीने बाद पता नहीं क्या हो जाता है कि उसके साथ भी कम्युनिकेशन बिगड़ जाता है. खैर, हमें यहाँ पे याद रखना है कि ऑथर इज ट्राइंग टू कम्युनिकेट समथिंग टू यू एंड व्हेन यू आर रीडिंग द पैसेज यू नीड टू आस्क योरसेल्फ व्हाट द ऑथर इज ट्राइंग टू टेल यू. हमें ये क्या बताने की कोशिश कर रहा है. सो दैट शुड ऑलवेज बी इन द बैक ऑफ योर माइंड व्हेन यू आर रीडिंग द पैसेज. Many a times the author will tell something in the passage directly that I claim this. Fine. That is something the author which is saying explicitly. If something is given in the passage in an explicit manner, then you have to understand that that is what the author is trying to say. And do not assume too much then. That means that's what the author means. And you will understand this rule more when you actually practice the questions by using these rules. Okay. Mostly the passage will be given in 2 breaks. What does that mean? The first part of the passage will be discussing about something and the second part of the passage will be discussing about something completely different. So you will not even notice how the tone of the passage is changing. So generally what happens, we are anyways in a rush to solve the passage. So first part of the passage is read, then we move to the second part and then we completely forget about the first part. Then we have to read the passage again. So that is purposefully done by the whoever is setting the exam so that they waste your time. So that's why beware of this passage break. Understand that this is going to happen. Passages are going to have multiple parts. Don't forget the first part while reading it, and that's why not rushing the passage is also quite helpful. Now, this is another important aspect of CSAT is that you are not supposed to choose the most accurate option. You are supposed to choose the most appropriate option. What does that mean? What is the difference? Is that generally when we are looking at various options for CSAT questions, you will feel यार इसमें से तो कोई भी सही नहीं है, ये तो कुछ भी बता रहे हैं. But that is the main aspect of this exam is that you have to choose the best option among the 4 options. You may not feel that ये एकदम सही आ गया आंसर, जरूरी नहीं है. You need to just ensure that that option is the best option and the most appropriate option, and that's it. Many a times it helps you to directly connect various statements and options to the passage. If something is given in the passage and you are able to connect it to the sentence given or the statement given or the option given, then it is much more helpful to you to solve that question. So try to do that. Try to connect what is given in the passage to the statement and accordingly then solve the question. Now, fine, that is about how you look at the passage. But many a times now questions are being asked where statements are given. There are multiple statements given, 3-4 statements are given, and then they give the options that which statement among them is true. So you have to look at statement. So what do we do and how do we decide that which statement is correct or which statement is wrong? First is the out of context statement. Many a times they will give statement which is generally true. Now we are studying for UPSC and you have a lot of knowledge about various things. So you will feel that fine, this statement is quite correct. But that statement might be completely out of the context of what the passage is talking about. So that is the kind of statement you need to be aware of and you need to eliminate such statements. Then is the rule about extreme statements. There are certain time statements given like it is impossible or it is completely you can say impossible that this will happen or something of that sort. The question will be there. Generally those statements are extreme statements, extreme opinions or extreme type of you can say the statement will be there, and that is generally wrong. Now what I'm saying is that is not always wrong. If the passage itself is giving some extreme opinion, then the statement might be correct. But generally, I am saying 90% of the time that extreme statement is not correct and you can eliminate that. And from there, we come to the final 3 important rules which we need to follow. That is the elimination method. So you need to apply elimination method to have the most accuracy in CSAT. Why? Because you will notice even after the exam is over, various classes will give their various answer keys, and generally there is so much difference in answer keys because nobody knows exactly what is the answer. That is the level of confusion that is there in CSAT paper nowadays. So that's why you cannot exactly say that yes, this is the accurate answer. Instead, you can say that no, this statement is wrong, this statement is out of context, or this statement is extreme. And by eliminating statements one by one or eliminating options one by one, you go to the most accurate and most appropriate option. There is much more chance that you will be in the positive and not have negative marking. So that's why try to apply elimination method while solving. Then there is also the rule about being pragmatic. That is, sometimes there is too much confusion. The statements are confusing. Passage itself is also quite confusing. So don't feel that you have to attempt that question because that there is negative marking. Many a times, if you feel that the passage is too confusing or the statements are too confusing, you are unable to really get to the appropriate answer, it's better to leave that question. You don't need to attempt all the questions to qualify CSAT. So always remember to be pragmatic. And finally, you have to practice knowledge carefulness. This is the fundamental aspect of solving the passage, that you are not supposed to use the knowledge that you have already. Instead, you are supposed to use the knowledge that is given in the passage. It is not about knowledge. Like these questions are not being given to test your knowledge, but the questions are being given to test whether you can analyze the data and knowledge given in the passage and then apply it and then come to the appropriate answer. That process is what is supposed to be done by you. Many a times you will notice statements and options which you feel are correct because you have certain knowledge. You are anyways studying a lot in various aspects, so you will feel that okay, this is correct. But that is where you have to be very careful. You only need to look at the knowledge given in the passage and trust that and only solve accordingly. Those were the 12 rules of comprehension. I hope that was helpful. Thank you.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.